Hi, I'm Yinka, and this is The Hurt Locker, a podcast where we open a door into men's mental health. Coming up,
I wanted to be now seen as my own person in my own independent right.
the real you. I get a sense that you just want to be accepted for you and be seen.
Yeah.
But it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
You're listening to The Hurt Locker, the podcast that opens the door on men's mental health. And tonight's special guest is Paul Drayton. Paul, welcome to the podcast.
You all right? Thanks for having us on. When I first seen The Hurt Locker, I thought it was some dodgy gay porn.
No, we're definitely
podcast. I've seen something along those lines.
Oh, right. I'm not going to look at your browsing history anyway.
No. Anyway, let's not get it off on that tone. We'll bring it back in to what we're talking about. It's mental health.
So for the benefits of people, I've got to say, we sent out a little reel, as it were, and I think you were supportive of it. But the amount of love that we've had for you, it's just gone off the charts.
Wow.
Seriously. I don't do this. And I got the reel and I actually text him to say, wow.
See,
look, the numbers here.
Wow. Because I reposted it. I was invited as a collaborator and posted it onto my Instagram account. And usually my loyal followers, they'll see it and they'll comment on it. But I didn't think that it would be that successful because nobody had actually put any questions that they wanted you to ask me.
There was a lot of love on there.
There was, yeah. And I find that with Instagram, I find it very, very, very helpful with the love that you get from, your loyal followers and things like that. Obviously, there's people who are on there who are trolls and shit like
haters,
that. Haters, yeah. But I'm glad it's had some good response. So anyway, I'm in your hands and just ask away and I'll there's honestly
I don't know how many followers you've got, but for the benefit of people who don't know you, who is Paul Drayton?
I am an actor and now author. I moved to London about 29 years ago to train as an actor. I am probably now best known for being the ex-husband of Alan Carr, which I write about. I've got a new book out, obviously. It's called Ride or Die Trying. And I've written it and I'm very proud of it. But I wanted to be now seen as my own person in my own independent right, and for people to know who I actually am, and not as the narrative has been unfairly written as the ex-alcoholic husband of my ex. Okay. So yeah, and that's why I'm coming on podcasts like this, so people can actually see who the true person, the real me.
Okay, the real you.
And again, I have had a very, very interesting, colourful life, and I've got myself into a lot of predicaments and situations long before, all my life, and have never really kind of understood why I felt a little bit out of place, or a little bit queer, or a little bit different. But then I got a late diagnosis of ADHD 5 years ago, and it's just made me realize that that's shaped who I am, basically. And I've always tried to please other people and fit into boxes that I didn't necessarily fit in, and I felt like I was a misfit in society. A lot of people do. A lot of people who are late diagnosed of ADHD or alcoholics as well, because my love of alcohol stemmed from a very early age.
Okay.
I talk about in the book. I remember eating liqueur chocolates at my grandma's house when I was like 4 or 5.
We all did that at Christmas time, though, didn't we? Come on.
The Bell's whiskey, the Cointreau and that, and I just loved the taste of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. and the brandies and things like that. But then, you know, I've been on other podcasts as well talking about self-medicating. And that's another huge revelation that I've kind of come to realize, that I've been self-medicating for a lot of my adult life. I talk about, you know, when I was younger, I used to go to bed, and about the age of 15, 16, when I was allowed to drink, and going to bed with thoughts in your mind, ruminating over things, just random shit just swirling around. It was often referred to as the washing machine brain at AA meetings that I used to go to. And so my Auntie Gladys used to say, well, she said to me, if you can't sleep, go down, make yourself a hot whiskey and milk. Hot whiskey and milk. So that's what I did. I put some whiskey in the microwave, topped it up with a good glug of whiskey, bit of sugar, took it upstairs, took it to my bed, started to sip it, listened to Tony Braxton on my hi-fi, and then just kind of felt the brain stop, slow down, and drift off to sleep. So from a very early age, that's my earliest recollection of self-medicating. Okay. And obviously I wasn't a big party person when I was younger. But when I moved to London, when I got to London, and my whole kind of work situation changed, I wasn't working from a 9-to-5 job, and I became free basically to do what I wanted.
Can I ask? I can tell by accent, and we did speak off air. You're a Mackham, you're from Sunderland, etc. Okay, was going down to the bright lights of London a form of escapism for you?
Probably, because obviously when I was growing up, I was trying to understand my sexuality, and it wasn't talked about then. But then I came to accept my sexuality, and I eventually came out to my family and friends. But while I was younger, I used to think that I'll have to just conform to what society is, and, you know, get married, have kids, you know, cut the grass at weekends. But then I would, you know, I know it sounds awful, but then I would go off and satisfy my sexual needs, because, you know, with men and things like that.
Did you, in the early days, did you have a girlfriend?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I had, one. There's a
smile there.
No, because I write it about in the book, and I don't know whether she'll hear this, but there was a girl called Lisa, and I used to call her Casa, because I used to ride horses as well. So there was a big crowd of it in the horsey world. So again, you just had girlfriends. And I remember in the hayfields, we were like necking on, and I was just squeezing one of her tits, because I thought that's what you're supposed to do, squeeze it. And she went, "I've got two, you know," you know, because I wasn't like enjoying it. I was just doing what I thought she was required from me. Do you know what I mean? I didn't go below the belt. That wasn't until later on in life. And then I did have a girlfriend, and she won't mind me saying this, but she was quite masculine,
yes,
and feminine, but, you know, boyish. And I remember going on holiday to what was now Yugoslavia.
Okay.
It was something. It's now something else. And I knew that she was expecting to have sex. So I was dreading it. And so what did I do? I reached for the bottle. And so, you know, this carried on later in life. And I kind of gave myself the courage and the confidence to be able to, you know, go that one step further. And she didn't get me dick. She got me finger, unfortunately. And I thought I was doing the right thing, and I was satisfying her, but, you know, I was horrified, because I don't know, she'd actually turned, and I had blood on my fingers, and I found the whole thing like, oh, and it just didn't do anything for me. I mean, sexual wise, I'm not fazed by anything, you know, well, most things, but I know what I like and what I don't like in the bedroom. Absolutely. And I just knew that there wasn't anything kind of that satisfied me with regards to a girl. Yeah. And I know nowadays, I think a lot of, I don't know whether it's a lot, but men maybe do suppress the sexuality because they can get away with it now. They can just pop a pill and get themselves erect and, you know, do the business that way. Whereas, you know, I physically couldn't get an erection. I think there's a lot of conversations, especially on the internet now, where people are gay for pay, and straight men are having sex with men for money, and to me, I couldn't have sex with a woman for money because I basically couldn't get a hard on.
Yeah.
And I don't mind, as you'll tell from the book, I wear
what you see is what you get.
Yeah. What I see is what I get. What you
Absolutely. Tell me about coming out to the family. How was that? Was it accepted, or did people say we already knew? Or
again, it wasn't really spoken about. You didn't see gay characters and LGBTQ and trans people like you do on television now and in mainstream media and everywhere, which is great. But back then, there wasn't anything to kind of reference to. I remember I saw one program and I think two men had brushed past each other and my dad was sitting there, turn this off. And to me, that felt as if they were doing something wrong. So it wasn't, and also when I came out about 17, 18, it was when the AIDS epidemic came into the world. And, again, it was like, oh my God, it's a gay disease and we're all going to die. And it was created to kill off communities and things like that. So it was awful. But I had girlfriends, but then I had one boyfriend, and then I met another guy through him, and he was my first proper boyfriend. And we were seeing each other for about 5 months or something. I thought he was obviously my first boyfriend. He was my everything. We had sex for the first time. And then all of a sudden, he just finished me out of the blue. So I was absolutely devastated. I mean, I drove around for weeks and weeks and weeks playing the same tape with the same music and the same songs on that he used to, cry. And I couldn't talk to my mum about it either. And my mum, as people know who follow me on Instagram, they know how close I am to my mum, and I talk to her about everything and anything. And there was one time they went away on holiday and I had a party at the house like you do. And me and my friend Ashley, who now is a flourishing butch lesbian, we slept in my mum and dad's bed, and we must have made a mark on it or something like that. So I thought I'd better wash the sheets before I come back. Anyway, when my mum got back, she misses nothing. And she said, have you and Ashley had sex in my bed? And I was like, no, I haven't. And I was still heartbroken, and I needed to tell her, and I couldn't come out with it. And so I went back to my bedroom and I just burst into tears. I thought, I've got to face the music. I've got to just come out with it and tell her. And I would advise any person who's in the same situation, no matter what age they are, there's never a right or wrong time or conversations that you have over and over and over in your head. You've just got to do it and face the consequences. And most of the time, hopefully, touch wood, your family and your parents will be accepting of it. My mum, I remember her face, she kind of sunk into the pillow when I told her, and she said, I'd rather you hadn't have told me. And I said, I must have made the biggest mistake of my life then. And then we just lay in silence, and then we started crying, and then we just started talking about it. And then I think she did have an inkling. You do, your sons do,
Yes.
I don't think I was particularly effeminate as a child. I was quite sensitive and shy, but then I was quite extrovert as well. I was quite the exhibitionist, and I used to go to nursery and run straight for the dressing up box and put a red skirt on, and those little signs, would have made her, perhaps if she thought about it, is my son possibly gay? But I was only like 4, 5, 6 at the time, so you just don't think. You just, as long as your son's happy,
100%,
and their mental health, and you're doing the best for them, then it shouldn't really matter, And obviously now we talk openly and honestly about everything and anything. And she's read the book, and there's a lot of stuff that she didn't know in that book as well. That's it hasn't shocked her, but she's so understanding, and she's been fabulous. And my dad, again, he was very masculine and very Tory, and I thought that's one thing that my brother said when I told him, because I was drunk at another brother's stag party. He says, "Don't tell me dad, Paul, otherwise it'll kill him." And I thought, oh, And then he said to us, "What are you gay for anyway?" He says, "You could have any lass you wanted," which I found quite funny because I never saw myself as attractive or anything like that. I still don't. But that was kind of. But again, he showed me that unconditional love, and I kind of became more comfortable within it. I didn't come out in the straight environment that I used to work in at the post office. All the lads were there talking about the Mackhams and the Geordies and the football and this, that, and the other. And I used to kind of keep it closeted within myself. My boss knew, because she was a lovely, understanding woman as well. But I remember when I decided to move to London to train as an actor, I left the post office and they threw me a leaving party in this pub in Newcastle, and they got me a friggin' stripper. Well,
Go on. What was your response there?
It was awful. Well, she was dressed as a policeman as a start, which my relationship with police now isn't very good. I won't go there. But I just thought, oh shit, what the fuck have I done now? Anyway, then the music started, and she started to unbutton my shirt and this, that, and the other, and she took my tie off, and she started rubbing my hands around our body and stuff like that. And I don't know whether is it allowed now.
I don't know. I've never been to one. I've never seen one in my life. No, you know what? I'll tell you a little story now. There's no word of a lie. I have a friend around Christmas time. He always goes to a strip joint always as part of his birthday during the Christmas period. And he's been doing it for years. And the lads will meet up and go with him. And I'll always meet him afterwards.
Right.
Always. I've never been to one in my life.
No. Yeah.
Never.
Well, you're not missing much, I can tell you. You're not missing much. But I remember any attention that I used to get from females. I used to run a karaoke evening in a restaurant called Casanova's in Sunderland. And the women would have a few Serranos and Cokes, and they'd come up and they'd start unbuttoning your shirt and running their fingers through your hair. And obviously you're on stage and you have to get on with it. But it just made me feel uncomfortable. And again, I think nowadays people are a little bit more aware of, how it makes you feel and what people say and what they do and their actions make you feel, which I think is good.
It is good. Tell me then, there's a couple of things that come up for me because you don't sound like the typical. I think your brother alluded to, or you alluded to the fact that your dad's a Tory or something. You're a horsey family. You're a horsey family.
Yeah.
He loved Margaret Thatcher.
He loved Margaret Thatcher. Wow. Yeah. Wow. I mean, okay, I don't know. We'll put that to one side. I don't fully understand, but being in a Tory family as well, she did this, she did that, blah, 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 and she did, this, that, and the other. But now the repercussions from it, politics is not something that I ever touch upon because I don't understand it. And I think all politicians if people can't see this, I'm doing the white back. The light. Yeah. But
growing up being a horsey family, I know you love horses, etc.
Yeah.
But that takes you away from the rank and file of what I would perceive as a Geordie and Mackham, etc. Those from the Northeast, if that makes sense. You see it as a red tie socialist, unionized and all that. But there's a community within all of that is doing well.
Without doubt.
Successful.
My family were from Lincoln originally, and I come from a background of farmers. And so when we moved to Sunderland, we lived on the outskirts of Sunderland. So I used to love dogs. I've got 3 rescue dogs here. I mean, my parents wouldn't allow me to have a dog as a kid because it would have been stuck at home all day. So I used to walk the elderly neighbour's dog around the corner. And then and Ashley Coombs, I've mentioned earlier, her dad got her a pony, and my childhood was idyllic, absolutely idyllic. We used to leave the house at 7 o'clock in the morning with pot noodles and sweets, and we used to go to the stables, muck them out, groom them, get on the back. And I couldn't afford one, so I used to sit pillying behind Ashley Coombs. I didn't do much for me knackers, banging off the saddle. But yeah, we used to just ride the day away, hacking around, and we wouldn't come home till like 7, 8 o'clock at night. Whereas now, you know, kids don't know anything about that. You know, they're just they're glued to their iPhones or their iPads or these horrendous video games that come up on your phone. I mean, if you're on an app and you don't pay for it, the videos that come up that you have to watch to be able to carry on with the app, you know, there's people bashing each other, and it's violent. It's really, really, really bad, and
Paul,
it's sad.
Paul, can I ask, how old are you?
I'm 55 next month.
Okay, cool. Happy birthday for next month.
Oh, thank you, mate.
I'm just thinking now. So we've grown up in a similar era.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen that transition from having 4 television channels in the early 80s, which was a novel idea.
Yeah.
Multiple screens now.
That was if you had a colored television and all.
Yeah.
The simplicity of it was like, it was just wonderful. Really was. And, you know, as I got older and became an alcoholic, you go to treatment centers, you speak to therapists, counselors, you go to rehabs, and you just keep questioning why? What happened in my life? That
Can I just pick up on that? Because
of course you can.
You're very easy to say. Do you class yourself as an alcoholic?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. So you class yourself as an alcoholic. So, and that sits comfortably with you. But can I ask? You spent time with therapists, etc. Then you spoke right at the beginning about self-medicating. What were you fearful of?
Well, first of all, it sits comfortable with me. Like it didn't, because as an alcoholic, again, it's like you should be ashamed. You're made to feel ashamed of it. That it's something that you like. Sexuality. It's something that you've made a choice to become. Like I didn't choose to be gay. I didn't choose to become an alcoholic. I got outed when I was married to my ex. I got outed as an alcoholic in a book that they wrote in 2018.
Who's they?
My ex, Alan Carr, the comedian. Okay. And
how was that for you, reading those lines, or did somebody tell you?
Well, I read the book before it was published, but at the time, I just thought, you know, I don't mind him writing about me. He wrote quite sympathetically in a way, but it basically outed me as an alcoholic. Consequently, when the book was released, because of who he was, he went on every TV show and interview talking about my alcoholism. And, you know, I thought it would be good because it would maybe sell more books together and we were a team and, you know, it would benefit us both or whatever. But I also thought that it would benefit me because I think Alcoholics Anonymous should be Alcoholics Allowed, and we should be able to talk openly and honestly about it and like everybody is with ADHD now and all the other things and sexuality.
Without the shame.
Absolutely without the shame. But, and I, you know, I thought I could go on and like support my ex and talk about it and be included in interviews, but I never was, you see. I was kind of kept to one side, and that kind of hurt in a way. And I even wrote, because funnily enough, I love comedy myself. I wouldn't say I'm a comedian, but I love comedy acting. That was my forte. And I do sketches on Instagram and stuff. Well, I used to until I kind of lost myself a little bit, but I'm getting myself back there. And I used to kind of, I love making people laugh. And I've lost my trail of thought now. What were we talking about? The shame.
The shame and being outed.
Yeah, I actually wrote a one-man show called The Evolution of an Alcoholic. And my hopes was to go around small theatres or small venues throughout the country and talk to people about, you know, the shame that I felt and how I actually did become this like raging alcoholic, you know. And I thought it would educate people, and it would be like something that, say, for example, you had a mate of yours and you think he drank a little bit too much and you didn't want to broach the subject. You could say, oh, this guy's doing a little one-man show. He's a little bit of a comedian because I put some humor into it. Let's go along and watch it. And he could maybe resonate with it a little bit, because when you go to AA meetings, there's a person who chairs the meeting, and they talk about their life story, and you have to like listen to it and think about the similarities within the stories that they tell you. And you know, you might not relate to a lot of it, but then there might be just one thing that might go, oh my God, I've done that, or I do that. And then they can actually, that would start them thinking along the lines of, you know, do I possibly have a problem with alcohol? Am I relying on it for whatever reason, for too much, or for the wrong reasons or the right reasons, you know? I said on a podcast with Jimmy, and I says, if you do think you're an alcoholic, or you might question it, just question yourself. Why are you having that drink? Are you drinking to enjoy it on a night out and you can stop? Or are you drinking to cope with your life? Like, are you drinking to give yourself a little bit more extra confidence? Are you drinking because you think you won't be able to sleep? Are you drinking because you want to change the way that you feel, to soothe your anxiety, to, you know, whatever?
Why did you drink then?
Why did I drink?
Yeah.
Because I loved it. I loved it. You know, I loved the way that it made me feel. I think I associated drink with happy times. You know, I write about this in the book. You know, when you see me dad never drank because his father, unfortunately, sadly, had a drink problem and accidentally killed himself by drinking paraquat. So he never drank.
Okay.
Do you know what paraquat is?
Yes, yeah, it's a weed.
Yeah.
It's a weed, deadly weed killer. Yeah.
So
I haven't heard that for years.
No. Yeah.
Wow.
So he never drank. But my mum, when she was on holiday, she used to have a few tipples, Pernod's and black. And if at Christmas time you'd hear the grown-ups in the living room, you know, clinking and drinking, and you know, I just thought it was like the happy. It flicked the happy switch in you until it didn't, and then it flicked the fuck it switch in me.
When did you realize if that the fuck it switch had been flicked, as it were?
Well, I think I went from being a functioning alcoholic, and when I say functioning alcoholic, I mean like carrying out your day job, or being at college, or, you know, when I left college, I worked at bars and restaurants and things like that. So I held down a job, but then I'd enjoy a drink at night, or like working in the bars and the restaurants, I'd be drinking throughout the shift. So I think I was probably a functioning alcoholic for a long time. But then in 2015, there was a lot of stuff happening, personal stuff happening. I ended up getting, nearly arrested in Dubai on a plane. That was alcohol related. But
were you unruly?
No, not because I was pissed. No, it's because the cabin crew, she must have took an instant dislike to me, and I was with a friend of mine, and we were traveling to Dubai to surprise another friend of ours for her 40th birthday, and we were in different cabins. And a month prior to that, when I was with my ex, we asked the cabin crew if our friend could come and join us in our cabin, and they went, "Oh, no problem, Mr. Carr, no problem." Which I found quite, again, that's what it was like being with somebody like that. So when this flight took off, I said, "Do you mind if my friend comes and joins me in the cabin?" And she was so rude. She says, "Oh, all upgrades are done on the ground," and this, that, and the other. And it really upset me, and it really pissed me off, because like I said, when I was with Mr. Carr, nothing was a problem, you know? And so anyway, as the flight went on, I would go down to her cabin, take her a couple of little bottles of vodka, and then she came over and she was quite rude to me. And somebody else who worked on the flight as well ticked me off for moving seats, because I didn't want to sit next to somebody, and the cabin was kind of empty-ish. And I just thought, this attitude's really bad. So I went round and had a word with her, and I said something that I maybe shouldn't have said. I said, "I think your attitude is really bad, and I think you should retire." Anyway, Should that went down like a cup of cold sick. But that was me. I wasn't being rude. She was just her attitude. Like she was obviously sick of her job and she didn't care about the guests, the people, customers. So anyway, then she must have took a dislike to me, and then she phoned the police. I didn't do any other after that. I had something to eat, fell asleep, and then when I got off the plane, I was arrested. Anyway, I digress. So in 2015, it just went from one thing to another with friends, personal things. My business partner was fucking around and with money and things like that, and so I closed that up. And then I had a back injury, and that in turn caused sciatica down my leg.
Yes.
Now, anybody who's had sciatica will know how fucking painful it is. And so then I was relying on the alcohol to just put me to sleep, you know. And I think that's what I do quite a lot. Well, I used to, not anymore. I just wanted to sleep, because you're not thinking about things when you're asleep, you know. And as the alcohol progressed, I think all I wanted to do was sleep. I just wanted to sleep. But as you'll read in the book, it got bad, and then I'd go into rehabs and treatment centers. I'd detox, I'd stay sober for a while, and then you think you can handle it again. And you know, looking back now, the relationship wasn't very healthy. You know, I think I was in a bit of a toxic relationship, and I'm not blaming.
No. I'm going to ask you a question on that. There's two questions. The first one's relating to the alcohol. Are you sober now?
Yes.
So how long have you been sober for?
I wouldn't say I'm an alcoholic in recovery. I'm sober. I was sober yesterday. I want to be sober tomorrow. I don't count the days that I have been sober. And the reason I don't do that is because we're all humans and we all make mistakes. And I'll tell you, the last time I went on what I wouldn't say a relapse, but it was an unintended bender. And it was actually a year ago, because it was my birthday. I'd done a campaign, because I do a lot of animal activism and dog work charity and things like that. And I ran a campaign called Turn a Blind Eye. And there was a lot of work. There was a lot of build up to it. And I got on board a lot of people that I knew in the media and entertainment industry through my connections. And it was a huge, huge success, trying to raise awareness on animal testing. Because there's one particular place, which is an American-owned company in Cambridgeshire called MBR Acres, and it's vile. They breed beagle puppies purely to be tortured in labs, and they say in the name of science. Well, medicines on dogs don't translate to humans. And there's a place called the Camp Beagle who have been out there for 5 years. Anyway, I digress. I just wanted to get that in the podcast as well, to raise awareness of it for all the dog lovers out there, and it needs to be closed down. Anyway, sorry, going back to the question, it was
your birthday.
My birthday, yeah. The campaign went really well. I was in Cambridgeshire. We left, drove to Brighton. I met some friends. I took them for dinner at this really nice restaurant. It's my birthday. I'll have some champagne. So I did that, and then some after dinner drinks, and then some wine and cocktails and stuff like that. And then I wouldn't say I drank excessively, but because I hadn't drank for a while, I felt like shit the next day. So the Sunday lunch, which was quite the thing that you'd like to hear as an alcoholic, oh, let's go and have a pub lunch, because it gives you an excuse to have a couple of pints and some more wine and hair of the dog kind of shit. So I did my usual trick and my old coping mechanisms of having a drink the next day, and then getting home the next day, and the anxiety would start. So what would you do to kill the anxiety? What would you do to drink some more? And then so I ended up drinking for 5-6 days, not being able to stop, which again, that was quite a habit that I kind of would happen on occasions after long lengths of sobriety, you know?
Paul, do you recognize that, or do you acknowledge that drink's not your friend?
Yeah, I do. You know, and I don't say I'm never going to drink again,
Okay.
but I've been helping somebody on Instagram actually stop drinking. I've been really kind of like coaching her in a way. And I asked her this morning, have you been good? And she said, oh, I bought some sangria from the supermarket and it was only 4.6%. I said, well, that's fine. But as long as you know, this world's shitty enough anyway, as long as you drank for the right reasons and you enjoyed it and you didn't drink it and think, oh, I can start drinking again now and carry on drinking, because as alcoholics, our brains can quite easily, just like that, take us back.
And just lie to us.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
In those times, was there ever a time whereby your mental health suffered that you contemplated suicide?
Oh my God. Without a doubt. I think every alcoholic will be able to relate to that. When you go to treatment centers and rehabs, one of the questions is, have you ever had suicidal thoughts? And on a number of occasions, I've just wanted to kind of tear whatever it is out of me. I used to physically hit myself because I hated myself. And I have thought, it gets you into that such dark place that you just don't want to be there anymore. And you think you're a burden to everybody and your life's not kind of worth carrying on living. And it's a horrible, horrible, horrible place to be, you know? And that's what alcohol does to you. That's what taking drugs does to you.
If you had a message for our listeners, someone who may be self-medicating with alcohol or other drugs, what would it be right now?
Give yourself a day without it and then see how you get on. If it's a struggle, then you know you're an alcoholic. If you can do one day, you've done brilliantly. Do another day and just, and then if you're finding it harder and harder and harder to go without a drink for whatever reason, then you need to kind of really question it. Now, I was fortunately in a position where I was able to afford, I sold my car for the last rehabilitation place that I went into. And
it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
It's not cheap. This is another thing that pisses me off. It's not cheap at all, you know. And
when I've worked in Liverpool within that field, and I've known people who were on benefits, and they will go into recovery, then it means that they lose their own flats because they're not going to be in their flat for 3 months. And the local authority and the benefit people will pay
the system's
for it.
fucked. It's
like,
terrible.
How are they supposed to manage them?
I know. The whole system needs to be really looked at, because, like I said, I was fortunate to be able to pay for my own. But even when I knew that I possibly should go back to a rehab, I didn't want to begrudge paying 10, 15, 20,000 pounds into, you know, private owners, basically. I know that they're there to help and stuff, but I just begrudged it. You know,
they're making it shed loads of money.
They are. And that's why I wanted to do my one-man show, Evolution of an Alcoholic, because I was going to donate all the proceeds for that show to Action on Addiction. It's like this book that I've written, Ride or Die Trying. I don't know whether you
can see it, yeah.
All the profits for this book, it's not about making money, it's about helping others. And all the profits from this book are going to dog charities. And I mean, I don't think I'm going to make a lot of money on it, but again,
why not?
Why not? Why not? Because I'm not Prince Harry, and people don't know who I am. So that's why I'm going to work and work and work. And I'd love it. I'd love it to sell thousands of copies, and because it's a bloody good read. It's interesting. It's funny. It's unique, and I'm very proud of it. But yeah, all the profits are going to the dog charities. I never ever thought I'd get to write a book. I have an ADHD. I never really seriously thought that I did. And anything that I tried to do in the past before I met my ex. And when I was with my ex, I talk about ideas that I had, the creative brain that I had, but I was always overlooked, unseen, not supported, not encouraged. And that in turn made me feel like a fucking failure.
Did you feel that when you were married, that you were overlooked?
Yes.
That you were an appendix, as it were?
Not in the beginning, no. Not in the beginning. But
So at the beginning, were you starry-eyed?
not starry-eyed, no, because I'm not fazed by fame or anything like that. But I was kind of in awe of the situation that I was in, you know, and I absolutely loved it. And I dedicated my whole world and life within that world, supporting my ex, encouraging them. You know, I did a hell of a lot behind the scenes. They say behind every successful person, there's an even stronger person behind them. And that was, in my case, the case.
Feels like it took a toll on you, though.
It did. And again, the narrative was always like, I was an alcoholic, I was an issue, I was this, I was that. And it was putting a lot of pressure on this one. And that was the narrative that was set. And that wasn't the case at all. And it took a hell of a lot it affected my mental health so much. And I didn't realize it at the time. I was dealing with alcoholism, ADHD, being in a relationship that wasn't healthy for me. And I felt like I was in the middle of this ocean, like keeping my head above water and looking around, and I just didn't know what to do. And I think, and it was published in the press. I posted a picture on Instagram that I possibly shouldn't, but looking back, I think it was a cry for help, really. I regretted it, but I don't anymore. I had a picture of me with a black eye.
Okay, we can read between the lines on that, can't we?
Well, again, I think it was just a cry for help, really. It really was.
But we can read between the lines.
Well, you can read into it however you like. Obviously, I regretted it at the time, but I don't regret it now because it led me to where I am today and the person who I am today. And I think, yeah. So
I get a sense there's been a lot of reflection on.
Huge amount of reflection.
Looking back, what 3 things would you have changed? Don't change.
It's me guard dogs. Me dogs. Was that a horn outside your house?
Oh, yeah, it might have been. Yeah.
It was, yeah.
They picked up on that. Okay.
Yeah.
What 3 things, looking back now, what 3 things would you reflect and change?
On my life?
In terms of the relationship, in terms of the marriage.
I wouldn't change a lot of things. I wouldn't change anything. You know, I've made some fucking stupid choices in my life. I mean, there was one point you'll read in the book, I ended up being a bloody drug dealer for 10 months of my life. And I wouldn't change that. You know, it was all part of my story. The only thing that I'm going to start crying now. The only thing that I would change is ADHD. They say it can run in families. And looking back now, me dad, bless him, he died suddenly in January, and I think that he had ADHD, and I didn't know this at the time, but he came to me with this, what he thought was going to revolutionize the motoring industry in England, and he had this idea of putting a flywheel in front of an engine of a car, which would then in turn power a dynamo, which then in turn would power a battery. Now, I just couldn't get my head around it. I didn't understand. He was a mechanic, you see, and I couldn't get my head around it. I tried and tried to understand it, and I couldn't get excited about it. And he was doing he was hyper focusing on this idea that he had. And looking back now, he was drawing sketches and sending them off to kind of get the patent done and all the rest of it. And you know, I'd helped him as much as I could. You know, I reached out to like James Dyson and other engineers and did a lot of research into it. but without that kind of passion, that hyper focus that he was having. And in the end, you know, I had to come to the realization that it was a non-starter, and if it was going to work, then there would have been these massive motoring corporations that would have come up with it anyway. So I had to gently let him down, and I would change that. I wished I was able to, you know, he even wanted to kind of make a protocol and invest money into kind of getting it done. And I really regret that in my life, not being able to help him because of the ADHD and stuff. So, but other than that, with regards to my relationships, my relationships, understanding why, you know, sometimes I'd be feeling one way and why I wouldn't be feeling another way. Like love, I would be feeling emotional love for one person, and because I wasn't feeling that love, I felt inadequate. So I'd have a drink, because when you've had a drink, everything's lovely and then everything's fine. But then when you've had a drink, or you both had a drink, then it isn't, because that's when the cracks start to show and relationships start to, you know, break down. And that's what happened.
Tim just put in the chat there in relation to your dad.
Tell him to keep his nose out, yeah?
There's an 82% chance of one parent having ADHD once the child receives a diagnosis.
Yeah.
An 82% chance. So you're more than likely correct there.
Yeah. Like,
can I just say something though? You know, when your dad come to you with this project that he had, this is me, so I'm owning this, and you can tell me you're talking shit. I don't think it was about the project. I think it was about wanting to be connected to you.
Maybe.
That's what I'm feeling. You know,
maybe.
And maybe because he was a manic, maybe he couldn't show that emotional side.
Possibly.
But he could show this.
You know, as he got older, he did soften, and we were very, very close. We didn't used to talk about, you know, things like I did with my mum. But, you know, you're possibly right. You know, I didn't come out to him per se, but, you know, when I got with Alan, you know, he then realized that I was in a relationship with the campus comedian in the country. And both my parents loved Alan and our relationship, and we thought we're going to be together for the rest of our lives. I did. But, you know, he didn't really open up. So maybe you're right. Maybe it was a way of connecting. And also, he always knew I like to help others like he did as well. I mean, I remember my mum saying, oh, your dad just sits there and he won't do this and he won't do that. I've asked him to do this and I've asked him to do that. He would just sit there. But then if Mrs. Cannybody round the corner needed a car fixed, or the grass mowed, straight in there, you know. And I think I'm the same. I'm a people pleaser. I'll always put other people's needs over and above my own. And I think he wanted to connect, and he knew that I would be able to help him, or thought that I could help him as well. And it was devastating for me not being able to do that. It really, really was. And I apologized to him.
Paul, I've picked up something as we've been talking towards the end there. Your sensitivity. Your sensitivity. And it's funny because I don't know you from Adam, but you can come out, you can be this brash, cocky person.
Yeah.
But when something that matters to you impacts you, then you just crumble. You look inwards. And it's, for me, I can see that there's a difference between how we started this conversation and how it is now. But right at the beginning, maybe I asked you too quickly. I asked you, going down to London, what were you running away from and all that? What were you afraid of? And I get a sense that I get a sense that you just want to be accepted for you. You know?
Without a doubt. And be seen.
And be seen.
Yeah.
But it's fucking hard.
Yeah. I've just written an article for a gay magazine, and the headline was I've finally auditioned for the role of being myself, and it's taken me a long fucking time to get there.
And it does, doesn't it?
And it does, yeah. And that's what I'd say to anybody out there. It's never too late. It's never too late to change your life, to make positive changes, to really look at the situations that you're in, how you've got into those situations, what it's doing to you. And at the end of the day, look after number one, because we're only here once,
100%. And we're fortunate to be here in the first place.
Without a doubt.
If I was to ask you, you can only pick one person. Who's the most important person in your life?
Me mum.
Wrong. It's you.
Well, again, that's something that I would always do. Put somebody else over me. I wouldn't ever think of me, But yeah, it is the most important person in my life is me.
Do you embrace that fully, or do you sometimes lose sight of that?
Oh yeah, sometimes you lose track of it, because again, I've always been a people pleaser. I've always been the one to kind of fix things or to help others, and so
okay. So
set boundaries with myself.
Well, here's the question. You're there helping others. Who's there helping you?
No fucker.
Okay, honest answer. And listen, who's there helping you when you need the fucking help?
Nobody.
That's not okay.
No, it's not. No.
It's not okay.
I need somebody. I know my mum's there for me, and my brother's there for me, but I don't have. Well, I've never really had anybody in my life in a partnership or a relationship where it's been the reciprocated. That the amount of time and energy I've put into relationships has never been reciprocated. So I was hoping, Yinka, that you can maybe put us in touch with somebody. Do you know anybody nice? I don't mind. From the age of about 30 to 60.
Tim, get out the hair lock of vid.
Yeah, get off the gay porn and get out there. I live in the country. There's nowhere to go. Do you know what I mean? There's Grindr, but some twat is blackmailed me recently from Instagram. They've blackmailed me. I've sent some new pictures, as you do on Grindr, and they've blackmailed me with it. I don't know whether you've seen on my socials. So I've just done an interview with the Sun newspaper to raise awareness of that, because this what's it called? Sextortion is rife, apparently.
Yeah, it's massive.
It's disgusting.
It's massive, and I'm aware of how it's led some people to die by suicide as a result.
Absolutely. It fucks with your mind, man.
Yeah.
It really, really does. I think I'm quite a strong person. I mean, I saw my therapist this morning and we talked about it, but I always feel like I'm putting out fires. Each week I'm going in with a different problem. And we haven't even touched on the stuff that I want to touch about: bereavement, loss in the family, relationship, trauma, abuse, and all that kind of thing. We haven't even touched on it yet. But this sextortion thing, man, people need to know about.
It's a serious thing.
It is really. Yeah.
How have you felt being on the Hurt Locker?
Great. Do you know what? I felt so relaxed, and I hope I've given you a good interview, and I hope people can see me for who I am. Like I said, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't hide anything. I've enjoyed getting everything that I want out there, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, to be honest with you.
You know what? We've enjoyed having you on. What's your plans for this evening, the next few months, etc.?
I'm gonna watch that shitty documentary on Channel 4 about ADHD. I've got my mum coming down from Sunderland, and I'm taking her away to Gran Canaria for a week.
Lovely.
I've got lots of work to do. I'm trying to write a little bit of comedy. I'm working on the idea of a new podcast, perhaps. I'm doing a lot more book promoting, and just looking after me mental health basically, and keeping me safe in a healthy frame of mind. You know, I've been feeling my mood's been low as of late, and I don't know whether it's because of the weather or the heat and things like that, or the ADHD. I just really can't put my mind on it. So I've just ordered some St. John's wort from Amazon. So I'm going to give that a go, because as alcoholics or whatever, or whatever you're dealing with, you try and do whatever you can to kind of improve yourself and not give up on yourself, because a lot of people
100%.
just sit in their own thoughts and drink or do whatever they need to make positive changes in their lives and do whatever they can, you know?
100%. Have you been prescribed medication yet?
No, my GP asked as if I wanted to, and I've always thought I've looked into certain Ritalin and things like that, but I don't want to change me as a person. I just want to have the tools to be able to, and the knowledge to be able to get through what I'm experiencing or feeling without picking up a bottle. You know, if I look at shit and I know I've got to do it, and it's been sat there for weeks, the simplest things, I tell myself, well, it doesn't matter if I don't do it, because that's my brain. But then there's times where I'm in a mood, I'm in a great mood, and I just get motivated, and you know, and I can just get on with these things, and I end up multitasking and getting overwhelmed by it also. But now I understand that, so I'm easier on myself, you know.
Good.
Much easier on myself.
Paul, we're gonna finish this off. So we say it's a wrap. You say thank you. You say it's the best podcast you've ever been in your life and all that malarkey. And then you close your laptop, and then there's a knock at the door. You go to the door, the dogs are barking, you go to the door, and there's a
Giving us anxiety now.
10-year-old Paul Drayton looking up at you. What do you say?
What would I say to him?
Yeah.
Come and have a drink. That's me dealing with things with humor.
I know that.
Yeah. I'd say to him, oh my God, come on in. I need to have a word with you and tell you what's going to happen. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. But whatever happens, it's all going to be fine. And everything's going to be all right. And you're going to grow into somebody who everybody is going to love and admire and respect. So, but you're going to have some shit along the way. The world's going to life's going to kick the shit out of you.
100%.
But keep going, keep shining, and keep helping others, and look after yourself.
I'm just going to say, I've got to say this now. I hear everything you just said then. I've heard everything. But I'm going to say this to you directly. Fuck anybody else who's listening or watching and that. I want you to look after you. I want you to look after you. Okay? I'm serious. I'm serious. Because it can be really lonely out there.
It is.
Okay.
It certainly is.
Okay. Yeah, deep breath.
Thanks, Inga.
You know what? It's my pleasure. Honestly.
Right, can we stop it now?
Thank you for being a guest of The Hurt Locker. Getting the most.
Thanks, guys.
The Hurt Locker is a safe space for our guests to openly share their mental health experiences. If you have been affected by any of the content in this recording, then please reach out for support. If it is an emergency, dial 999. If you would like to talk to somebody today, then please call the Samaritans on 116 123. Stay safe. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Hurt Locker. please give us a rating or share with another listener. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Hurt Locker Pod.